This is the most important Audi SUV launch in over a decade, and almost nobody's talking about it yet. The 2027 Audi Q7 just dropped, and Audi didn't just refresh it, they rebuilt it from the ground up. New face, new cabin, new engines, and tech that's never been in an Audi sold in America until now. I'm going to break down every single change, in order, so by the end of this video, you'll know more about this car than most dealership reps will. Let's get into it. Quick thing before we dive in. If you're new here, welcome to Alvan Global. I cover new car reveals the way I'd want them covered if I were car shopping myself. No fluff, just what changed and whether it's worth caring about. If that's your thing, hit subscribe now so you don't miss the next one. Audi's got more coming this year, and I'll be first on it. Let's start outside, because this is the biggest visual shift the Q7 has had in its entire history. The first thing you'll notice is this absolutely massive single-frame grille, and Audi didn't shrink it for 2027, they went bigger. Below the grille's expanded mesh, you've got functional lower intakes that increase the sense of width, and the whole front end is flanked by these separated headlight and running light clusters. More on those in a second, because they're a big deal. Down the sides, flared wheel arches and blistered fenders taper into a taller D-pillar, which flattens the roofline, and that's not just for looks. That flatter roof is doing real work for interior headroom, which we'll get to. Here's the surprising part though. Even though the Q7 looks dramatically different, its footprint barely changed. It's just significantly taller now, giving it a more upright, formal stance. So Audi made it look bigger and more dominant without actually making it bigger. That's clever packaging. Now, round back, the OLED taillights are available with a full-width light strip and can display different patterns, including warning symbols for things like an emergency stop. And both ends get illuminated Audi rings now, so this thing lights up like a Christmas tree, front and back. Okay, this is the feature I think is going to get the most attention, and rightly so. The 2027 Q7 introduces digital matrix LED headlights with adaptive driving beam capability, and this marks the first time this tech has been deployed by Audi in North America ever. Here's what that actually means in practice. Each headlight uses around 25,600 individually controllable micro LEDs. You can drive with your high beams permanently on, and the system automatically reshapes the light beam in real time to maximize your visibility, while avoiding glare for oncoming drivers, cyclists, and pedestrians. So no more fumbling for the high beam stock on a dark back road. The car just handles it. But it doesn't stop there. Audi's also rolling out a world-first advanced turn signal system that projects your turn signal onto the ground when your low beams are on, so pedestrians and cyclists can literally see on the pavement which way you're about to turn. There's even a white rhombus projected onto the ground that acts as a warning zone when your door is about to open, protecting cyclists from getting doored. I genuinely think this lighting suite alone is worth a video on its own. It's that significant. Now let's step inside, and honestly, this is where I think Audi made their smartest moves. First thing you'll notice, Audi ditched the gloss black plastic trim that's been everywhere in this segment and replaced it with open-pore wood grain and premium inlays. If you've ever owned a car with piano black trim, you know it scratches, it shows fingerprints, and it looks cheap within 6 months. That one change alone elevates the entire feel of the cabin. Tech-wise, the front of the cabin now has 2 displays, one for the driver with the instrument cluster and center-aligned infotainment, and another screen for the front passenger that comes standard. So you've essentially got 3 screens dominating the dashboard now, and from what reviewers who've sat inside it are saying, they all work well together and are genuinely easy to use, even if the bezels are a little larger than some would like. Comfort-wise, dual 25-watt wireless smartphone charging pads with cooled MagSafe technology, so your phone won't overheat while it's charging, which has been a real complaint with wireless charging in cars for years. And if you care about sound, buckle up. Audi's offering an optional 22-speaker 1,360-watt Bang & Olufsen 4D system using Fraunhofer Symphoria technology with speakers built into the headrests and seat-mounted actuators that physically vibrate in sync with the music. That's not a sound system, that's a concert venue built into your seat. On space, the Q7 can be configured as either a 6 or 7-seater, and even though the exterior dimensions are basically unchanged, the cabin feels noticeably bigger inside. That flatter roofline I mentioned earlier is paying off here. Now let's talk about what's actually moving this thing, because Audi didn't hold back here either. The base Q7 gets a 2.9-liter twin-turbo V6 producing 429 horsepower and 442 pound-feet of torque, getting from 0 to 60 in 4.8 seconds. And get this, that engine is borrowed straight from the RS5 Performance Coupe. Audi is putting a sports car engine in their family SUV as the base option. Then there's the SQ7. It gets a 4-liter twin-turbo V8 making 591 horsepower and 590 pound-feet of torque, hitting 0 to 60 in just 3.7 seconds. And both the Q7 and SQ7 can tow up to 7,700 pounds. So this isn't just quick, it's still genuinely capable as a family hauler. Audi is calling both the quickest in their respective classes, and if those numbers hold up in real-world testing, that's a legitimate claim against the X5 and GLE. Here's why all of this actually matters. The competitive landscape for the Q7 has changed a lot since the last generation launched. It's not just competing with the BMW X5 and Mercedes GLE anymore. Top trims of the Hyundai Palisade, Mazda CX-90, and Jeep Grand Cherokee L are now offering interiors that rival what the old Q7 used to feel exclusive for, at a much lower price. So Audi couldn't just do a styling refresh this time. They needed a real generational leap to justify the price gap. And based on everything we've covered, the lighting tech, the materials, the engines, I'd argue they actually delivered one. Audi appears to have focused on meaningful improvements rather than just a cosmetic update, and if it drives the way the spec sheet suggests, this could be one of the strongest options in the segment again. So, that's everything that's changed on the 2027 Audi Q7, a completely new face, headlight tech that's never been in an Audi here before, an interior that finally ditches the cheap-feeling trim, and 2 engines that punch way above what you'd expect from a family SUV. Now, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment and tell me, does this Q7 finally beat the X5 and GLE for you, or are you still team BMW or Mercedes? I read every comment, and I'll pin the best takes. If this video helped you understand the new Q7, do me a favor, hit that like button. It genuinely helps this video reach more people who are researching this car right now. And if you want the deep dive comparison video, Q7 versus X5 versus GLE side by side, subscribe and turn on notifications, because that video is coming next, and you do not want to miss it. This is Alvan Global. I'll see you in the next one.